extreme. He represents the celebrity that we value. He represents the economics of the equation. That's something that we're taught to strive for and see that we value highly. He represents the whiteness, the maleness. And I just think we have to take an inventory of that and what our standards and values really are as a society.
Keep listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
Welcome to Choose Views with Richard Chew. Get ready to dive into a world of insightful conversations and thought-provoking discussions.
As progressives, our job is to have an all-inclusive, full-on assault with all of our players.
A show that focuses on moving our political, social, economic, gender, and cultural conversation forward.
And all of our players means all of our players.
It's Choose Views. And now, here's your host, Richard Chew.
Good Thursday morning. Big stretch, y'all. Welcome to the June 11, 2026 edition of Choose Views. 773-763-9278 is the number. Find my show on Facebook Live, TuneIn Radio, and YouTube. And email me at richard@wcpt820.com. Follow me on all the socials under Choose Views. And catch all of our shows by subscribing to, yes, our WCPT podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, and iHeartRadio. There you can get Choose Views featured interviews. Joan Esposito, live, local, and progressive, driving it home with Patty Vasquez. I got to see Patty and Ken yesterday for about 30 seconds as they were coming in, as I was leaving from sitting in for Joan yesterday. But there you go. It's a Democracy Stupid with Edwin Eisendrath and Out Chicago, as well as our other great shows and interviews. Make sure you're checking out in the evenings, the Politics Bar, the Matt McNeil Show, and the Gailey Show. We got it full up, y'all. Got all kinds of stuff for you to check out. We got great clips. We got our great team here that keeps us on the rails. Henry and Mike today, Devin and Mike on Mondays, and sometimes Maddie B fills in. Lady B, I got to hang with Lady B yesterday in the afternoon. That was a ton of fun. She is just cool and fun, and you know, everybody around here loves her and what she does. So shout out to Lady B for helping me with Joan's show yesterday. And so, you know, there you go. What can I say? She's been great for years. Over at Heartland Signal, our digital newsroom, you might want to check out some of the stuff that we're talking about. Michigan, Indiana, and Tennessee GOP push the, quote, nuclear family proclamations to counter Pride Month. Nuclear family, my butt. You know who doesn't have a nuclear family by the standard that we would say is a nuclear family? The dude in the White House.
True. Yeah.
Right? I mean, because none of his previous wives died where he became a widower. And then remarried, right, Mike? I mean, he decided to step out. So nuclear family, my behind, Republicans. Talk to your boy, and then you can come back and talk to your state, the voters in your state about nuclear families, the pushback on Pride Month. So in any event, make your way over to heartlandsignal.com to our digital platform. And you've got, this is another one. Oh, this one was crazy. This one was crazy, y'all. This one will just, okay. U.S. Senator Marsha Blackburn, from a Republican from Tennessee. Y'all know who I'm talking about. Mike, she's the one that's got that crazy hair. Like she walked out of the front door and the wind blew and her hair just blew and all the all the whatever that she did to get her hair right just was interrupted by the wind, and she left her hair that way. So I'm being a little snarky, but y'all know I'm not lying. Okay, at least I'm not lying. Marsha Blackburn said yesterday she admits there's an affordability crisis, but she blames the Biden administration for that from 17 months ago for it. She's blaming the affordable. She tried to slide it in. You got to check out the clip. It's there at heartlandsignal.com. She tried to blame, in acknowledging there's an affordability crisis, she tried to slip it in there that it was the Biden administration's fault. It's just, it's hilarious not in its content, but in its attempt to be slick. Like, I'm just going to slide this one in, Henry. Maybe they won't notice it. I said Biden administration and then keep going. It was almost like that. So make your way over there, guys. I mean, this is what's wonderful about our team. They bring you the stuff you need to be seeing, watching, paying attention to, and passing on to your folks. Today's show, let me give it to you right now. We've got a great lineup of people, as we always do. We have such a wonderful number of people that have been part of our show here, and certainly all of our shows, Patty's show and Joan's show. But we have a conversation with Speaker of the Illinois House of Representatives, Emanuel Chris Welch. Very enlightening, extraordinarily competent, smart, great guy. It was really cool to talk with him, and you'll see that in a little bit. And then in studio with us is Illinois Comptroller Susana Mendoza, newly announced candidate for Chicago mayor. She'll be hanging out with us in the 7 o'clock hour. And Bryan Kennedy, speaking of mayors, mayor of Glendale, Wisconsin, national president of the Democratic Municipal Officials and member of the DNC, and author of the new book, It's All Local, Saving Democracy from the Ground Up. Dan Squadron, who is one of the senior people with Heartland Signal and WCPT and the States Project, was on MS News the other day talking about that same topic about it's all local and the importance of the states rising up, standing up, and fighting back. So we'll have Chris Welch with us in the 6:30 hour, Comptroller Mendoza in the 7 o'clock hour, and Bryan Kennedy, mayor of Glendale, Wisconsin, in the 7:30 hour. So looking forward to chatting with those folks about a few things. What was I going to tell you guys? Oh, here you go. Question of the day. Da, 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 da. All right. Oftentimes you hear me say, all right, guys, we've got to be involved, and we've got to do the things we got to do to take back our democracy and take back state legislatures and all the rest. But this is a question that popped into my brain late yesterday as I was sitting in traffic driving back with the terrible rain. And by the way, let me say this before I ask the question. I hope everybody is safe now today. If you were on the road during this crazy rainstorm that we got that blew through Chicago and this part of the Midwest and crossed through Illinois, through Indiana, parts of Michigan, I hope everybody is safe. I know that Cindy up in Michigan and other folks that listen to us in Michigan, hope you guys are good, and folks in Indiana as well, and in central part of Illinois, because it was pretty crazy. So right across the street from the station, there's a tree that went down. Branches all over the place. That flooding. So we had one of those microburst storms, I guess is what it's called. It's not a tornado, but the winds are pretty high. So, and then if you lost power, that you've got your power back. But I just almost forgot to mention that. But I hope everybody is safe and good to go that may have been impacted. And if you know somebody in those areas, check on them, that may have been in the crosswinds of that storm yesterday. Check on them, make sure they're good to go. You may need to give somebody a ride to work today because their power went out, but just, be mindful of that. All right. Do you guys, here's the question of the day, and you can give us a call. Folks can give us a call today. Are we good with that? No? All right. We can, you're going to have to respond by text or sending us a Facebook notification, going to my Facebook page. Do you think voting is enough in terms of preserving democracy? Do you think voting is enough? If not, what else do you think we should do to keep democracy growing and going strong? Again, do you think that voting right now is enough and to keep our democracy growing and going strong? Like to hear what you guys have to say. You can text us your response to 773-763-9278. You can also go to our Facebook page and drop us a little bit of a notification there and let us know what your thoughts are. I appreciate you guys. By the way, just so you know this, we don't get a chance to read every single one of the Facebook posts on the show because we get caught between, going to breaks and guests and all that. But we are reading them. We are getting them. So just so you guys know, go to Facebook. You may not be a big Facebook person, but it's a great place to kind of, put your thoughts out there. And we do acknowledge that we received them. So thank you for that. But there's our question of the day. Do you think voting is enough? If not, what else do you think we should do to keep our democracy growing strong? Let us know your thoughts there. Let's take a little bit of a break. The number is 773-763-9278. I'm Richard Chu, yes, and you are listening to Chu's Views on WCPT, AM 820 in Chicago, and WARR 1520 AM, 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, and we will be right back.
Daisy was abandoned by her family and placed in foster care at 15 years old. Her life was full of uncertainty. She thought she'd never have a permanent place to call home.
Before I was adopted, I felt like I wasn't enough. I had this hole in my heart, and I never knew what I needed to patch that hole. But when my mom asked to adopt me, that hole was closed. It feels so normal now to say that I'm a part of this family. I am surrounded by love. I feel safe. And that hole inside of me is gone. I am whole. I'm finally enough just as I am.
The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is changing the lives of teenagers at risk of aging out of foster care. Like Daisy, every child deserves a permanent, loving home. You can help. Learn more at davethomasfoundation.org.
We weren't sure adoption would happen for us, but when it did, it happened threefold.
Mary and her husband first met their 3 children when they became their foster parents. Little did they know that their house would become the siblings' forever home.
We had to help them adjust to the idea that they wouldn't have to leave. Children in foster care have lived and survived so much. We had to help them process their trauma. And now to hear our children say that they know they have a mother and father who take care of us, teach us, and love us means everything.
The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is committed to finding safe, permanent homes for the longest waiting children in foster care.
I not only love these kids, I am just so proud of them.
You can help. Visit davethomasfoundation.org.
WCPT 820, Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter.
No fake news here. It's Chu's Views with Richard Chu.
All right, guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Chu's Views that you're listening to, and I'm Richard Chu. All righty, a couple of quick Chu's Views news items on this June 11th, 2026. Consumer prices notched their biggest jump in 3 years. The Consumer Price Index, a key indicator of inflation, rose 0.5% in May and 4.2% annually in a year-to-year study. And that's in line with Wall Street's expectations, but in this case, that's not good news. It's the first time that that figure has topped 4% in 3 years. Interesting. Who's president right now? Surging energy prices tied to the Iran war drove more than 60% of the increase. Core CPI, Consumer Price Index, which excludes energy and food prices, rose 0.2% for the month and 2.9% on an annual basis. Meanwhile, inflation outpaced wage growth for the second month in a row. Solar tops the coal's electricity production in the U.S. for the first time in quite a while. For the first time in May, I should say, providing 12.8% of the total power compared to 12.2% for coal. Solar generation also surged 17% year over year. The increase, reported by the think tank Ember, underscores the increasing importance of renewable energy and those sources that the nations are building into the electricity mix. The U.S., though, is struggling to meet electricity demands of artificial intelligence data centers, which we've talked about. This is a structural change in the U.S. power system, and Ember notes that this is something that the U.S. has to get its hands around quickly. Roughly half of Americans worry AI will take their jobs. Rapid adoption of AI technology across corporate America has workers worried about job security. More than half of the respondents in a new survey expressed concern that AI could put them or someone in their household out of work. About 37% said they weren't worried about it, and 10% were either unsure or unwilling to answer the question. The results follow a record-breaking month of layoffs across big tech. World Cup odds makers tabbed two big favorites to win it all. The two World Cup favorites are no strangers to raising the trophy. Spain won it all in 2010, and France claimed the championship in 2018. They're the biggest contenders in this year's tournament, which kicks off Thursday in Mexico. Spain, led by the veteran Pedri, has 9.2 odds to win it all. France, which fell to Argentina in the 2022 finals, comes in next 5-1. They're followed by England 7-1, Portugal 8-1. Who's your favorite? I'm curious. That's my added on. Who's your favorite? We'll talk about that as it starts to unfold. Crux Sports, as we talk about soccer, launches Women's Soccer Investor Initiative. And this is a great development. Crux Sports, a women's soccer ownership group, has launched the Players Investor Collective. You guys should check this out, allowing female former athletes to invest in European women's soccer clubs. The initiative aims to empower women who have historically been excluded from ownership roles and includes former U.S. women's national team soccer stars Julie Foudy, Amber Wambach, and Leslie Osborne Lewis in its first group of investors. Crux also plans to establish a player council to guide strategic decisions, aiming to set new standards for investment in women's soccer. I think that's brilliant, and it's great to see that it's headed by and going to benefit women in the sport. More and more is happening in that way, and I'm so pleased to see that, sometimes these guys are getting out of the way and helping and being a support system rather than thinking we get it right all the time. All right, a couple of quick Choose Views news items on this June 11th, 2026. Thanks, guys. Let's see, we got a response already, a couple of them actually, on our question of the day. This comes from Nancy. No, voting is not enough. Protesting, emailing legislators, and listening to progressive news programs is a must. Okay. Nancy wants me to talk about yesterday's listeners, what they think or who they think is the best president. Well, here's the answer to that. The number one on the list, the number one and number two were former President Obama, late President Jimmy Carter, and former President Bill Clinton. From our audience, that's who they deemed as the favorites. That's the order, as I remember it. So there you go, guys. President Obama was people's favorite and best president. So not surprising in this environment at all. Let's see, we got a couple other responses. Voting isn't enough. We need to end Citizens United and pass real campaign finance rules. That comes from Ray. I won't read the other part of his. Oh my goodness! He put in here, "Go Hammond Bears." I had to read it, Ray, because I know that Mike was going to have a reply for me, but I agree with you. Voting isn't enough. We need to end Citizens United and pass real campaign finance rules. That's a very, very good way of looking at it, Ray. Let's see what else we have this morning. No, yesterday's okay. So to our other listener, 331, it was we did ask a question, but I didn't get a chance to cover what some of the responses were. So thank you to Nancy and to 331 for asking it again. It was Barack Obama, Jimmy Carter, and Bill Clinton were in that order. That was what you guys replied to in terms of all the responses that we received. Just in case if I didn't cover it, I apologize. But there you go. Barack, Jimmy, and Bill. Mike's blushing back there. He's like, "Oh my God, Richard, with the invitations." But I remember that's how Mrs. Carter used to refer to him as Jimmy, Bill, Mike. It's Bill. Good morning. If you guys could only see what Mike and I are doing, and Bill Clinton holding that pen in his hand and talking to people like the professor. Yeah, and then there's Barack. So I'll stay away from the imitations. That which they are. Oh, gosh. Let's talk a little bit about what's happening with this fool in Washington. Which one am I talking about? From Mike Johnson, being sidestepped by Democrats to pass the House of Representatives passed the Faster Labor Contracts Act, in a bipartisan 230 to 190 vote. The bill was introduced by Democrats from New Jersey, Donald Norcross and Jared Golden from Maine. This bill is meant to stop corporations from using endless negotiating delays to block unions from obtaining their first contract. Delay. Let's go back to court. Let's go back to court. And they worked around the Republican conspiracy theorists who are trying to hold off. We're trying to hold off the vote, and they got what they needed. And they were able to put kind of big businesses in a position where they've got to come to the table and negotiate in a fair way, negotiate in as honest brokers. So good on the Dems there. See, sometimes we get after the Democrats about certain things, but we have to look at the whole windshield and the things that they are doing, that they do get done, and this is a good example of it. So we'll keep you posted and pay attention in that space. Let's see what else we got. This one was interesting. Republicans go off the rails and say that they don't need proof to claim elections are rigged. Ha! Chris Matthews. I'm into the imitations today. What the hell, Mike? That's like 4 of them. Got to stop. As Trump baselessly claims that counting votes is election theft, Republicans like Steve Scalise in Louisiana are claiming that proof isn't needed to claim that an election was stolen. Okay, Steve, let me help you understand something. And to all the GOP folk out there, it's a legal matter. And so one of the tenets of any legal matter is this thing called proof. And oftentimes, to gather proof, you have to go through a system where you present to a judge that you have a certain amount of information and how it was yielded. The discovery process is what it's known as. So if you're going to make the accusation that there is election fraud, which fraud is an illegal act, then you need proof, knucklehead. In all my readings of the law and all my time studying law way back when and over the years, that I know. Now, I'm not an attorney, studied lots of law, but that I know to be true. You have to, if you're going to make an if you want that accusation, when you use the word fraud, to actually have some legs to it to go forward, then you do have to have proof. And to have proof, you've got to go through the discovery process. Because ultimately, there's going to be a plaintiff and a defendant, and the defendant, which in this case would be who you were accusing of election fraud, has the opportunity to see what information you have, what you got. If you ain't got nothing, player, then you got to shut up. That's just how it works. So this is again one of those times where the Republicans are using kind of smoke and mirrors to keep a story alive, as my mother used to say, to keep some mess alive. There's another 4-letter word that begins with S and ends with T. They're just using this as another tool to keep some mess alive, to distract people from the fact that there's not been election fraud or voter fraud. And if it has been in minuscule ways, even from the Republican side, they're saying it's coming from our side, and even there, it's minuscule. So, Steve, maybe you need to go, sip a glass of wine or something to get your head right, or go for a walk along the water. I don't know. We're going to take a quick break. The number is 773-763-9278. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM, 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. And now AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. When we come back, we'll have a conversation with Chris Welch, who is the Illinois House of Representatives Speaker. Looking forward to that conversation. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT Moment in Labor. In 2011, 6 Jimmy John's employees in Minneapolis were fired by their franchise-owning company, Mickey Lynn Enterprises, after fighting for paid sick days. This is a common theme in the union-free world of fast food. Over 13 million Americans work in the fast food industry, making an average of $13,500 a year, not even half the average cost of living. 80% of fast food workers have experienced work-related injuries, and only 13% were covered by their employer. A group of employees referred to as the Jimmy John's Six fought for these rights, creating an online campaign, posting a picture of 2 sandwiches saying one of these was made by a healthy employee, the other was made by a sick employee. Can you tell the difference? Too bad, as Jimmy John's workers do not get paid sick days. Help workers win sick days. More than 32 million Americans work a job that does not offer paid sick days. This has been a WCPT Moment in Labor. We're working for your rights.
I slept in a lot of different rooms, different beds, but none of them really felt like mine. I spent 14 years in foster care, mostly in group homes. And I never had much left because I always had to be ready to move. Why get things if you just have to let them go?
There are more than 100,000 children in foster care waiting to be adopted. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is working to help find them a forever family and a permanent home of their own.
Now I have my own room with walls that tell my story. I love hanging out in here. I play dress up with my sisters and I sing and make videos. But the best part, knowing I'll always have a place to go and a family that loves and supports me.
If you have room in your home or your heart, see how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT Willow Springs, is powered by ComEd. Visit ComEd.com/facility assessment to learn more about energy savings.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the mid-80s. Breezy southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 30. And for tonight, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, a low near 59. Friday, we'll see some sunshine, high 79 degrees. Saturday, plenty of blue skies and sun, high around 85. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 66.
This is WCPT 820, where facts matter.
It's Choose Views, where we read more than just the headline. Now here's your host, Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Yesterday, I had a chance to talk to Illinois House Speaker Emanuel Chris Welch about health care, hospitals, and drug legislation in Illinois. Talk a little bit about that, but more broadly about health care in Illinois and what you feel we need to be doing and how you've really been, your leadership has been indispensable.
Oh, I mean, thank you for the question. And honestly, I think the answer is a lot more broad because of what's going on in our country right now. I mean, literally, we have the first black president about to open his historic presidential center in 9 days here. And if you've had a chance to go through it yet, you see what he did for this country in the healthcare space. I mean, the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, really transformed healthcare across the country for many poor and middle-class families. And because of where we are now with this latest president, a lot of folks are losing their healthcare altogether. Again, the costs are skyrocketing. You know, and so here in Illinois, on the state level, And I tell folks this all the time. States have rights. We have the ability to push back against federal administrations like the one we have now. And Illinois, we've been able to do that in several different areas. Healthcare is certainly one of those areas that I think we've done a really good job in. And we've been doing it through our budget space. For instance, Illinois has a number of hospitals that we call safety net hospitals. We have been funding our safety net hospitals and keeping these hospitals that serve low income communities. Otherwise, these communities would have no health care. They would have no access to health care. We've been able to keep those hospitals going because of our budget space. We've been able to fund our FQHCs, federally qualified health centers, because of our budgeting work that we've done the last 8 years, last 6 under my speakership. These are things that are so important to Black and brown communities. I can't state how valuable that is. But also, we've done things to drive costs down. We passed a prescription drug affordability board in the House because we're trying to make sure these pharmaceutical companies aren't just raping us over the coals with drug prices. We got to hold these folks accountable.
Yeah.
The Reproductive Health Act. I got a laundry list that I can go through that we talk about.
That's why, Speaker, we will have you back so we can make our way through that very, very well worked on laundry list. So, but keep going. I'm with you.
And one of the things I'm really proud of is the fact that we've made Illinois a 100% pro-choice state, and it's really about women's reproductive health. And many folks, because of the laws that we put on the books here in Illinois, are coming to our state for their health care. Yeah. It really is an oasis right here in the Midwest, surrounded by red states that are taking women's reproductive health care away from them.
Yeah, the city of Chicago, Cook County, the collar counties, of course, as well as the state, have really been a bright spot right now for the country. Obviously, for the folks that live in Chicago, live in Cook, DuPage, Will, McHenry, the collar counties of northern Illinois and the state at large have been a place for people to come to and say, this is. I don't know what all the lies were about how awful Chicago is or how awful Illinois is, but wow, I can come here and get a lot of things done. And social services has been leading the way. Talk to us about the importance of the trifecta. I talk to a lot of state politicians all over the country, and one of the things that is consistent coming from that is when Democrats have the trifecta of the House, the Senate, and the governor's mansion, and of course, AG and Secretary of State and Comptroller. We get stuff done. Talk a little bit about that for a minute.
Yeah, we've been able to get a number of things done here in Illinois because Democrats are in charge. And I will tell you, I'm a part of a national network of speakers. I travel the country. I'm very active with my fellow speakers, particularly with the other Black speakers across the country. And they look at us as a role model. They call me and say, how'd you get this done? Can you put me in touch with your staff? Or I help us navigate the same issues in our state. We really are the beacon that people are looking to because Democrats are in charge of the governor's office, the House, the Senate, and yes, our constitutional offices too. And let's not, understate Attorney General Kwame Raoul's role in helping us push back against this Trump administration agenda. The things that we're able to do because he runs in the court and continues to protect the things that we fight for is extremely important. And so having people that are like-minded, that share a common core of principles is extremely important. Do know that we disagree. We disagree a lot.
As we should. Muscle gets stronger. Iron sharpens iron, as the phrase goes, right?
Yeah, and I think any family's going to have fights, right? And you the way you handle that is what's important. And we do. The governor, the Senate president, myself, we have a great relationship. We disagree sometimes agree to disagree, but we agree more than we disagree, and we have Illinois moving forward, especially at a time when we all need to be pushing back against this Trump agenda.
Without a doubt, you and Senate President Harmon have done a phenomenal job. Listen, I learned a long time ago, Speaker, I can be very critical and also very complimentary in the same conversation. And I think that's where we're able to trust each other, that we're all moving forward with a similar objective. Our route might be a little different, but the goal is we got to get over here. And you and Senate President Harmon have done a phenomenal job of steering us in that direction. So once again, kudos to you for that. When you talk about the healthcare system in Illinois, and I know this has been something you really have championed in healthcare as well as hospitals, we've seen the Trump administration's awful executive orders and this big ugly bill from last year. I can't believe it's coming up on a year now of its passing, but it's been catastrophic for not just rural communities. I know that was at the tip of the spear with so many of all of us we're talking about, but it's happened. It's also caused some problems for some metropolitan areas because the rural communities have had to be absorbed in some ways by the suburban and the urban communities. Talk a little bit about that and how you're trying to navigate the legislature through those things here in Illinois.
Yeah, Trump's big ugly bill really is that. It is a terrible piece of policy that hurts poor people, and poor people that are not just black and brown. It hurts poor people of all races, particularly many people who voted for him in these rural areas. They're the ones that are going to see many of their hospitals closing, and places that already have large travel times to the nearest hospital are going to see those times increase. And anyone who's had a heart attack or stroke knows that time is of the essence when you're having an emergency like that. And these rural areas are suffering greatly. Many of these people that are on Medicaid, are going to continue to get kicked off of Medicaid because of Trump's policies. It's only going to get worse over the next year because of that big ugly bill that passed last July. Medicaid is the funding for low-income folks who need it. And this bill is going to kick folks off of health care. This is the same bill that kicked folks off of SNAP, that's making it hard for people to receive food and nutrition assistance. Fortunately for folks like us in Illinois, we have a House, a Senate, and a governor that's working together, and the budget that the governor is going to sign in the next week or two. We have a program called Fresh. The Fresh program is going to be like a stopgap measure for us to help these people that have been kicked off of SNAP. If you aren't getting proper food and nutrition, that's going to lead to health care issues. And so kicking folks off of Medicaid, kicking folks off of SNAP, it's the same man that tried to kick folks off of TANF, Temporary Assistance of Needy Funds.
Yep.
All of that because of this big, bad, ugly bill. And when folks don't understand, when we say elections have consequences, we're living through those consequences every day.
Yes, we are. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and now AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, and we're talking with Illinois Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chris Welch, and we'll be right back.
Here's the tale of the daily Medfield. Same old pharmacy, same old bill, but those prices kept rising higher still.
Till the savings Wrangler rode in, cool as can be. Tap Good RX, saving massively.
No plan? Don't matter none. Up to 80% off. The deals are done.
Discounts hitting harder than Ma's chili. Dang. That one little app does all the rest.
Save time and money on prescriptions.
Check Good RX. Good RX is not insurance.
Hey Progressives, it's Richard Chu, host of Choose Views weekdays 6 to 8 a.m. Central. We're all anxious for the 2026 midterm election to arrive so we can restore some sanity and much needed oversight to our government. In fact, it's the most important midterm election in American history, and Choose Views will be in the thick of it, bringing you candidate interviews on a regular basis. I'll be talking to Democratic Party hopefuls running for House and Senate at the federal and state level, as well as candidates for governor and other state and local offices.
I am in love with our ability to fight for our rights, to fight for our future, to fight for our freedoms, to fight as our ancestors fought. It's just our moment. This is just our time to stand up and to speak up. We can't give up on this.
If you miss any of the interviews live, you'll be able to find them all on WCPT's candidate interviews page at heartlandsignal.com/candidates. That's Choose Views, weekdays from 6 to 8 a.m. on WCPT, Chicago's progressive talk for 20 years.
Imagine home. The smell of coffee, the sound of a lawnmower, the sun's warmth on your face. Free to be yourself, surrounded by love that helps you grow. This is a place to call home. That's an American dream we all deserve. But in 50% of U.S. states, you could legally be denied housing if you are LGBTQ+. Get the facts and hear real stories at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
You're listening to WCPT 820, because facts matter.
Mic's on, truth's out. This is Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Welcome back to Choose Views. We're talking with Illinois Speaker of the House, Chris Welch, who is giving us the lowdown on the importance of making sure that all of our wheels are functioning and running down the road the right way. And he's been, as Speaker, done a masterful job of helping our state leaders do the work that is for the people of the state of Illinois. And as he said earlier, a model of what other states and other legislatures in other states are looking to follow. You've been a huge advocate, Speaker. You've been a huge advocate of protecting voting rights. And we know right now that voting rights is under attack. It has been for a long. It's been under attack as long as you and I both have been alive. But in the last 18 months, or we could go back even and say 36 months, but in this current administration, it's been a direct attack. What are you doing? How are you feeling about that? Maybe first, and then what are you doing and your team doing to make sure that we can respond to these federal shifts?
Listen, I think that we are living in our moment that our parents lived through when they went through the civil rights movement. This is our moment, Richard. This is our time, because this president and his administration is hell-bent on reversing every single gain that we won in the civil rights movement. To see that they are, through the Supreme Court, reversing gains when it comes to the Voting Rights Act that Dr. King got President Lyndon Johnson to sign into law. Probably was Lyndon Johnson's literal signature achievement was the Voting Rights Act of 1965. What your audience have to understand is that before 1965, we had 5 black people in the United States Congress, 435 Congress people, 100 United States senators. We had 5 black people in the United States Congress. Because of the Voting Rights Act, the 118 Congress that we now have is the most racially diverse Congress in United States history. Yep. This is what Trump and his party is trying to reverse. They're trying to eliminate black representation state by state. Pick a state: North Carolina, Texas, Alabama, Louisiana. This is all about erasing black representation, black voting power. They're trying to take us back pre-1965. And again, using our states' rights, I think it's our responsibility to fight back, stand up and fight back at every turn. I have pushed for putting the language of the Voting Rights Act in state constitutions like the Illinois Constitution. I passed a resolution, HJRCA 28, out of the House over to the Senate. I was hoping to get that on the ballot in November of this year to ask the voters if they would like us to put the language of the Voting Rights Act in the Illinois Constitution. The Senate is still studying it. They're still considering it.
What's their holdup? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but
well, the Senate president wants his lawyers to give him, well thought out written opinions on what they think can be done on it. I can understand that. They have their processes over there. But to me, I think the time for action is now. With Trump still in the office, I think the election this year, the wins would be there for voters to come out and understand this issue. But now the earliest we can get it on the ballot is 2028. Okay. And I think we have to enshrine this language in the Constitution so that people don't live on hope. They're living on guarantees. And the only way you have a guarantee is if it's in that Constitution.
And thank you for that, Speaker Welch. One of the I had the opportunity to have Barbara McQuaid, who's a former U.S. attorney in Michigan, and you're familiar with her. She's written 2 great books of late and appears on a variety of different shows as a legal analyst. I had a chance to have her on the show last week and meet with her on Monday because she's here in Chicago on a book tour. And one of the things that she said to me, kind of what you just said about having it in the Constitution, that one of the things that we have to do as we regain power on a state level or on a federal level is to make sure that there are more things that we've found out to be customary should be things that are enshrined in the Constitution. And she talked about it just like you on a state level as well as on a federal level, because the state level is the ultimate backboard of what we can do, I believe, on a federal level. What are your thoughts there about more being in our constitutions?
I couldn't agree more, and particularly on the state level. There's a reason why our system of government was set up where you have a federal government and state governments, 50 different states with their own constitutions. I think it was one of the geniuses of our founding fathers was to create a system. We call it federalism. And federalism is so important. States have rights, and we need to know those rights, fight like hell for those rights, and protect those rights. The more rights you can enshrine in a constitution, the better, because you don't want legislatures to change, and with a changing of a legislature, simply change the laws that are currently on the books. You want them to have to go through a process where they go before the voters to have to change a constitution. And I think that's extremely important. And that's why I think what we have right now, the Federal Voting Rights Act, has basically been gutted by the Supreme Court. Illinois has a law called the Illinois Voting Rights Act, which was patterned after the Federal Voting Rights Act. This General Assembly would not change the Illinois Voting Rights Act. But we certainly have right-wingers that are already in court trying to challenge the Illinois Voting Rights Act and say that it's unconstitutional, right? And if the Illinois Voting Rights Act was thrown out, if this legislature were to change, those rights could be lost. But if it's enshrined in the Constitution, you got to go to the voters, the people, to ask them to do that.
Yeah, and I think that's where, and give me your thoughts on, give us all of us your thoughts on this. This is a global question. The lowering of the numbers of voter turnout and participation, I think, is because a lot of people don't have faith in the system. I hear it's a little bit of both. Well, if we have good candidates, people will turn out for the candidates. That I agree with. I think there's also an and if our system is shored up and strong and people understand this is how you get registered, this is what you do, this is how our legislators are going to manage the system, I think that people are going to be more inspired to want to get out and participate because the car's running okay. Nobody wants to get into a junky car. Am I crazy or am I even in the ballpark?
Oh, man, you're in the ballpark, all the way in the ballpark. You're standing at the plate. This is about re-engaging our electorate, re-educating them, re-informing them. We got to get the participation up. People were talking about the voter participation in the primaries in March, and were pleased. I think voter participation was 20%. I saw 20% voter participation, and I said 80% of the people didn't vote.
Yeah.
We have to do better. we have to reengage through our historic civil rights organizations like the NAACP, the Rainbow Push, and all these groups. We have to get out there and teach civics and get folks reengaged in this process, because that's where we're losing this battle, is folks staying at home. I've been having a series of barbershop talks. I'm going into barbershops, talking to brothers in the barbershop, and Richard, you'd be surprised at how many of these brothers don't vote.
No, I wouldn't. And you got to, okay, so put me on your list of folks to tag along with you, because you are absolutely onto something there. I'm sorry, Speaker.
You know, and many of them are just like, Speaker, first of all, thank you for being here. We don't see the politicians out here in the barbershop. Thank you for coming out here. Thank you for telling us the things that you're telling us. And we have to do that in numbers. We have to do that all across the country and get out here in these places where people aren't used to seeing us. We got to get off these phones and get off these screens and get out there and have these face-to-face conversations with people and get them engaged in this process and believing in the system where they will go vote.
Yeah, it's
many of them don't believe their vote matters. And I looked at a couple of those guys in the shop and I said, look at me. I'm the first black speaker in this state. This state's been around since 1818. Do you know I won my election in 2012 by 36 votes?
Yeah.
36. It was the closest race in the state that year. And I told him, I said, don't you know the person I beat by 36 votes know 37 people that didn't vote?
It's so crazy when you break it down like that. I was talking with State Representative Rodney Pierce down in North Carolina. He won by 34 votes in his last election. And so we did a town hall down there back in March, and people were shocked to hear, and people all over the country have said to me, 34 votes, how does that happen? So we have an opportunity as a progressive liberal Democratic Party, where we land in that, to make sure that we're doing the outreach to let folks know it matters. 34, 36, 38 votes is like, what? So I'm glad to hear you're doing that, and I support that effort in what you're doing, Speaker Welch. And like I said, in all seriousness, I'll raise my hand anytime you need an additional voice to go with you to have those conversations. I'm all in, because I know that when we get folks involved on a local level and everybody's leaning into the thing that we all believe is right, we get stuff done. And
we really do.
And I want you to be proud of the work that you've done in the state legislature.
I appreciate that. I want to underscore something for you. I won that election in 2012 by 36 votes. I got sworn in January of 13 for the first time. 8 years later, I became the first black speaker in the state's history, replacing the longest service speaker in U.S. history.
Yep.
That's because of those 36 votes that I won by. Just think about how an election makes that much of a difference.
That's a butterfly effect, if I've ever heard of it, in terms of the impact, down the road impact. So all you folks listening here in Chicago, Illinois, and throughout the rest of the country, that's how important everybody voting and being involved in the process is important, because we get to then have folks who are leaning in the right direction. So, Speaker Welch, it's been an honor to talk with you this morning. Thank you for taking some time to hang out with us. How can our listeners and followers follow you and find out more about the great work that you're doing?
Richard, it was an honor and a pleasure to be on this show with you, man. I've always wanted to be on Choose Views. But if you want to follow me, you can follow me on Speaker Welch IL on most social media channels, X, Instagram, TikTok.
Too many to name.
Speaker Welch IL, for Illinois.
Thank you for being with us this morning. We wish you continued success, and we look forward to having you back on the show again. So you've got an open door here. Just let us know, and we will make it happen, okay?
My brother, I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
Be safe. Talk with you soon. Have a great day. Bye now.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Cats are masters at using up their 9 lives, like chasing laser pointers into walls or jumping onto high shelves. But the one thing cats never do? Text while driving. So be like a cat and protect your one and only life. Don't text and drive.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
For the ones who get it done, Grainger offers the professional-grade products you need, delivered when and where you need them. Call and click Grainger.com or just stop by.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. The U.S. has launched a second round of airstrikes on cities across Iran, pushing the Middle East closer to the resumption of a full-scale war.
The United States has launched a second round of airstrikes on Iran. Iranian state TV announced that Iran had fired back at the U.S. Fifth Fleet in Bahrain. The new U.S. assault across multiple Iranian cities came on Thursday as efforts to negotiate an end to the U.S.-Israel war with Iran again appeared stuck. Iran retaliated with strikes targeting Bahrain, Kuwait and Jordan, all of which host U.S. troops. Kuwait closed its airspace briefly in response. Iran has insisted it would maintain its chokehold on the Strait of Hormuz, which has disrupted global energy supplies and sent oil prices higher. The U.S. strikes come after President Donald Trump warned that Tehran would pay the price for stalled negotiations. I'm Karen Shamas.
President Trump's UFC fight on the White House's South Lawn is requiring efforts from more than 7 federal agencies, hundreds of staff working on site daily, and about $60 million. Correspondent Gethin Kulba reports this is according to a legal filing that offers a glimpse into the preparations.
The event is part of the 250th anniversary of America's founding and is scheduled for this weekend with 7 mixed martial arts matches Sunday. A lawsuit filed by 2 Virginia residents seeks to stop it. The agency filed a rebuff in court, noting the $60 million is coming from the UFC and affiliated groups. The document does not specify the extent of government resources spent on the project.
Thousands of Southern Baptists have voted to advance a formal ban on women pastors. The formal ban will require a 2/3 vote to become part of the Protestant denomination's constitution. This is AP News.
The city needs it. Let's go next. Let's go next.
New York Knicks fan Sergio Diaz is certain the team is going to win the NBA championship. The Knicks completed a record comeback, rallying from 29 points down to win Game 4 of the NBA Finals. The Knicks beat the San Antonio Spurs 107-106 to take a 3-1 lead in the finals. Patrick Mahomes is set to be the quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs through the 2033 season. The 2-time MVP signed a contract extension worth more than $504 million. Mexico is getting the World Cup started today and will be a heavy favorite when it hosts South Africa and Mexico City. This year's tournament is hosted by the U.S., Canada, and Mexico. It's also been expanded to 48 teams that will play in 16 stadiums and a record 104 matches over the 39-day tournament. More information at apnews.com. I'm Marcela Sanchez, AP News.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the mid-80s. Breezy southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 30. Then for tonight, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, a low near 59. Friday, we'll see some sunshine, high of 79 degrees. Saturday, plenty of blue skies and sun, a high around 85. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 68.
This is WCPT telling you how you can shop blue. The Trevor Project is the world's largest suicide prevention and crisis intervention organization for LGBTQ+ youth. Young people can reach out to the Trevor Project anytime at 866-488-3786. Today, let's take a look at some companies that support the Trevor Project. Conscious Step. Conscious Step is selling Pride socks for Pride Month this year. For every pair of Pride socks purchased, a portion of those donations are going to the Trevor Project to help the LGBTQ plus youth. Knockaround. Knockaround has been supporting the LGBTQ plus youth with a partnership with the Trevor Project for years. In 2026, they donated $25,000 to the Trevor Project, and their total donations since the partnership started, they have now donated $200,000 to the Trevor Project. This has been WCPT telling you how you can shop blue.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Welcome back to Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. If you're just tuning in, this is Choose Views, and I'm Richard Chew. Today on Live, Local, and Progressive, Joan Esposito will be back. Why is she back? Because I sat in for Joan yesterday, so we did double duty. And our guests include Aaron Kleiman, Heartland Signal's senior political analyst. Jonathan Alter, contributing editor of the Washington Monthly, will be with Joan. His latest piece in the Washington Monthly is 60 Minutes Must Still Be Saved, which I agree with. Live, Local, and Progressive weekdays 2 to 5 here on WCPT, AM 820, heartlandsignal.com, and TuneIn Radio. And then tonight on Driving It Home, Patty Vasquez will be joined by Elena Billingsby, flight attendant and Association of Professional Flight Attendants representative, Ira Shapiro, author of the new book, Betrayed, America Didn't Vote for This. That's Driving It Home with Patty Vasquez, weekdays 5 to 7 here on WCPT, Heartland Signal website, TuneIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And then tomorrow, I'll be here, of course, with one of our regulars, Karen Byrne from True Blue Politics podcast. And we're going to kick off a series. We're talking with historians as we approach our 250th anniversary here in the United States of America. So make sure you join me tomorrow. And throughout the weekend, make sure you check out Edwin and all the rest of our shows. So we have I've told you guys, drum roll, this is going to happen. With us this morning is our current comptroller and newly announced candidate for mayor of the city of Chicago, Susana Mendoza. Good morning and welcome back.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing awesome.
You know, it was interesting.
How are you doing?
I'm good. It was interesting yesterday. We all are talking about what's going on in Chicago, and weather yesterday was definitely one of the things.
Felt like Florida, didn't it?
A lot of neighborhoods really struggled yesterday, and people that were on the road. But one of the things that I found really interesting, though, about how we've been dealing with weather is climate's a big issue for all of us right now. And I'm really encouraged to see that, you know, folks are coming together and recognizing that we've got to be realistic about what's happening with our climate and climate change and where we're putting our monies in that regard. So I'm glad you're doing well. First week, 1 week has gone, a week and a day since you announced.
It's been a whirlwind.
So tell us about the whirlwind. What's the first week been like?
Yeah, so not much sleep. It's kind of like having a baby, right? You announce the baby. And not much sleep, but all good. I mean, the reception has been phenomenal. Everywhere I'm going, people are like high-fiving and woo, let's go. So, yeah, and I have to say that our announcement, which we did on the southwest side of the city where I was born, in Little Village, we did it at Los Comales, a delicious Mexican taqueria. And directly across the street from Los Comales is a grocery store called Aguascalientes, which is the grocery store that I've been going to since before I was born. My mom carried me in her belly, and the owner of that store technically has known me for a long time, right? Now his kids are running that specific store. He's got multiple locations, but they had all of my window signs that are in the grocery style format.
Yeah.
We did these really cool ones.
I saw those.
In every single one of their windows, and it was kind of like surprise unveiling. And then in the restaurant itself, we have our normal traditional stuff. But, you know, have you ever been in a restaurant and you see like the very traditional Mexican cut paper?
Yes.
Like the colorful. So we did our signs like that. They were strung all through the restaurant, like if they were cut paper. And then we had them everywhere, right? So you walked in, and my team did an amazing job decorating the location, but it was symbolic for me because that's where I announced my very, very first run for office 27 years ago. And it is where I'm from. And I feel like if I'm anything I'm a neighborhoods girl. And so bringing it back to the neighborhood that gave me my political start, that gave me my birth, really, right? But my political start. And then seeing how packed that room was. And I took a moment when I was done with that speech and I just looked around and I was like, oh my gosh, it's like the United Nations in this room right now. And the most beautiful thing, Richard, is that every person that was in that room was there because they wanted to be. They had 3-day notice and they were there because they wanted to be. There wasn't anyone that was told, we need you to be in this room at this time to pack the room. And it was awesome. I felt it literally was like a dream. I can't think of anything I would have done different to make that rollout any better. We had a really beautiful video that came out just talking about why I want to be the next mayor of Chicago, why I'm the best person to do this. And it was great. So, I mean, what a rollout. And we've had a really great week of interviews and just meeting with people. I was in Bronzeville a few days ago after the shooting happened with these 4 kids that got shot by another kid, right? And just talking to people in the neighborhoods and getting their take, right? My take, people might ask me what my take is, but I think the most important thing that a next mayor has to do is really tap into the needs and wants and the fears and the hopes of the people of this city in every neighborhood. Yeah,
I would agree with that. There's no question that every person that I've talked to, whether they're running for mayor of the city of Chicago, and I've talked to a couple others that have announced prior to you or running for state or federal office, the one thing that is consistent, and I think it's part of the national conversation right now, and that is I've asked this question, what is it that is the most powerful thing that you can be doing right now as a candidate or someone that's in office that's running again? And everyone has said that it's about meeting people where they are on whatever topic it might be. It's making sure that we're talking to folks one-on-one and getting off the devices and so forth and so on to just have those personal conversations. And you've been really good at doing that. I mean, you and I did some stuff last summer, which was a lot of fun.
So much fun.
My recommendation, and you followed, so you listened to what I said you should do, and it turned out to be really a lot of fun. But that was cool with talking to some of the restaurants in the Hyde Park area. But the other question I want to ask you is, what's been your biggest surprise at this point? I mean, and I'm talking about in the last week, not with since you said that you weren't going to run again for comptroller, but in the last 7-8 days, what's been your biggest surprise?
That's a good question. I don't know that I've had a major surprise.
Or aha moment, maybe put it that way.
So, okay, I'm going to give it to you straight, but I've been on this listening tour for almost a year now. So really, in terms of being surprised by stuff, not so much, because I've been having a real pulse now with the communities that I've been in. But I would say that my biggest surprise has been in the African-American communities that I've been to when I've asked, what's the number one issue? Well, give me your top 3 issues that are keeping you up at night. I'd say 80% of people, the first answer out of their mouth has been teen takeovers.
Okay.
And I wasn't expecting that, right? Because the communities that have been most impacted have been, unfortunately, the African-American community. And because there aren't a lot of resources in neighborhoods, but still, Superintendent Snelling said it best the other day when he said we have to stop making excuses as well, right? Because when they say they have nowhere to go, whether it's them or anybody else in the city, it's like, well, they are going places. They're just misbehaving in those places and they get out of control. And so whether it's the beach or downtown or Millennium Park, whatever. But that the parents and the grandparents were telling me, I'm really concerned about these teen takeovers. I wasn't expecting to hear that, right? Yeah. And honestly, it's important to listen to what they're saying and why they're worried about these things and how it's impacting potentially their own children. And the one thing that surprised me the most of anything and everything was, what's today? What day is today? Thursday? Oh my God. I'm like like I said, sleep deprived. On Tuesday, was it Tuesday? No, Monday, because the shooting was on Saturday. On Monday, I went out to Bronzeville where that shooting happened. And there was a young man, his name is Tyree. And he was awesome. Just such a nice young man that I just met in the street on the block where this happened. And we were talking. And the thing that blew my mind was that he told me that he sent his 6-year-old to Minnesota for the summer. And I said, why would you do that? He goes, because it's not safe here. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've been surprised by things, but I had never heard someone tell me that because they love their kids so much and they want to make sure that they're able to start school alive, they were sending them to their mother's house in Minnesota. He goes, Minnesota's got its own issues, but where my mom lives, and she raised me right. He goes, where my mom lives, I know that my son's going to be safe and he's going to come back to me at the end of the summer. And I thought to myself, wow, this is super messed up. And this is exactly why we have to be in these neighborhoods and advocating for these families, because this is not okay. It's like, I've never thought I'm going to send my kid off somewhere, not because I don't want to be with them, but because I love them so much that I don't want them to be hurt. And these are real people with their real stories. And we have an obligation not to talk to them, but to listen to them and then be able to do something about the issues that are really keeping them up at night. No dad should get separated from his kid because of safety concerns. That dad should be with his kid. He wants to be, but he's doing what he thinks he needs to do to make sure that kid comes home safe. And that kid should be coming home safe every night in the city he was born into, the city of Chicago.
Yeah, there's no question about that. And there are many parents who are concerned about that. Teen takeovers is not something that Chicago has cornered the market on. No.
Exactly.
It's happening in a number of cities, red and blue dominant cities. So it's not a Chicago problem solely. It's a problem that's happening throughout the country. So when we come back, let's talk about what some of the solutions, or not solutions, because that sometimes isn't the best word. Let's talk about that. Let's have a conversation around that is not just a Chicago thing. It's happening throughout the country. Let's take a quick break, guys. The number is 773-763-9278. You are listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina. And all our good friends, of all places, Minnesota, the AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu, talking with Susana Mendoza, and we'll be right back.
Hey, this is Lauren, and a little thing I love about the hash brown scrambled burrito is that it's going to add the protein that you need. The eggs with those crispy nuggets. It's the ultimate combo.
Hi, this is Maya, and a little thing I love about the hash brown scrambled burrito is that it's packed with protein. Having Chick-fil-A chicken, breakfast burrito is just phenomenal to me. You have the chicken, you have the eggs, and then you add these hash browns. It's just complete, honestly.
Order the Chick-fil-A hash brown scrambled burrito and Simply Orange Juice on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Stephanie Miller here. I am shooting the proverbial poop with guess who? The tummy whisperer. Yep, Renee Barish of Digestive Health Solutions. Renee, there's lots of confusion about food and diet these days. What brings people to you, and how do you help them sort it out?
Great question. People come to me with a garden variety of digestive issues, including bloating, constipation, diarrhea, and heartburn. But the fun doesn't stop there. So many people bypass these symptoms and exhibit skin conditions, low energy, and poor sleep.
Okay, then what?
Well, I provide expert navigation with diet as well as sensitive testing for your digestion and microbiome. These tests provide clear data about what's happening in your body. And now with this info, I create a go-forward plan to help you feel better.
That's great. Thanks.
Thank you, Mama.
You can talk to Renee at 847-207-2034 or visit thetummywhisperer.com. That's 847-207-2034. Just ask for Renee. 847-207-2034.
Snakes, zombies, sharks, heights, speaking in public. The list of fears is endless. But while you're clutching your blanket in the dark, wondering if that sound in the hall was actually a footstep, the real danger is in your hand, when you're behind the wheel. And while you might think a great white shark is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward, don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Alexa, play WCPT.
WCPT from TuneIn.
Don't hit that snooze button. It's time for Choose Views with Richard Chu.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. I'm Richard Chu. If you're just tuning in, this is Choose Views. And I am talking with Susana Mendoza, who is running for mayor. City of Chicago, has been legendarily great as comptroller for the state of Illinois.
Thank you.
Yes, it's the truth. And the data doesn't lie there. Before we went to the break, we were talking about something that I don't like to use the word, but it's the word that's been used, teen takeovers. Flash mobs are viewed as okay, but it's the same thing. Teen takeovers is the language that's been used throughout the country. There's many cities that are running into the same issues, and they're all dealing with it differently. Some are increasing their police presence. Some are not. Some are changing curfews and all the rest. But at the end of the day, no one has shown that they have a singular solution in any of these cities that I've looked at, whether it be Tampa, whether it be Orlando, whether it be Beaufort, Georgia, is having a similar issue. But we have it here in Chicago. You're not running for mayor in those other cities, and I respect that. But we have it here in Chicago. And it's a concern for a lot of, not just parents, but it's a concern for anybody that lives here that wants to make sure we tackle this.
Yeah, as well as, like, literally, it's a financial concern, too. So, I mean, like, number one's always public safety. So we start there. But the fact of the matter is, can you imagine, like, when these are happening, for example, in Hyde Park, beautiful community, or they're happening downtown, anywhere they happen, but especially downtown where you have so many visitors coming in from abroad or other places, and you get caught up in something like that. Like, I think of that mom who was with her 10-year-old son, and she got shot. He didn't, thankfully, but she was a tourist. And, like, that's for one and done of ever coming back to Chicago. And so there's a lot of ramifications to having these, flash takeovers because they happen so quickly. And they're dangerous. I mean, people have died as a result of these. So I don't know, when you were talking about flash mobs, what were you referring to?
Well, the flash mobs where you have a group of children or young adults that congregate someplace and they do whatever they do.
Oh, okay. I was thinking of those flash mobs where everybody starts dancing like Michael Jackson Thriller or something. Those are fun. Those are cool.
Right.
Yes. No one gets hurt in those other than if you can't dance. And if you can't dance, you're not in one,
You're right. You didn't get invited in the first place.
But, jumping on squad cars or other people's cars, looting businesses, pulling guns out. I mean, who does that? No one in their right mind, right?
So here's my question. I've always been trained, and particularly as a financial advisor all these years, there's a solution or solutions to a lot of things. But one of the mistakes that people make in all facets of life is to not look at the heart of what's happening. Mm-hmm. Why is it happening? I'm a why person. Why is it happening?
Well, I think there's multiple whys, but I think it all starts in the home.
Okay.
I do. And I think that I will tell you, I have a teenager. He's 13, so he's on the younger end of the teenager spectrum, but he is way more afraid of anything his mother will do to him, like including grounding him for life, than anything that the law can do to him. And the reality of it is that I know where my son is at 1 or 2 in the morning. I know where he is at all times. And unfortunately, not all kids have parents who know exactly where their kids are at all times, or who are even really involved in their kids' lives. I mean, I've talked to some of those kids, like when I was out on that block in Bronzeville the other day where the shootings happened. And one of the kids, he's not a kid anymore. He's 26, but he's got 3 kids of his own now.
Right.
But you'll see him on my Instagram soon. But he lifted up his shirt and he showed me his machete cuts from where he was eviscerated. He showed me multiple gunshot wounds on his body, multiple stab wounds on his body, gunshot in the back of the head. That it's amazing that this guy's alive to even tell me his story, right? Like literally, I told him, you have a higher purpose because everybody else would be dead, right?
Yeah.
And so lean into that. And he was such a good person. And I told my husband, because it really stuck with me, Richard, like I woke up at like 1:30 in the morning on like Tuesday morning, having gone into bed at Monday night. And I woke my husband up and I'm like, honey, I just have to talk to you about this. I'm like getting emotional thinking about it. But I'm like, this kid in any other environment would have been a complete success story. Like you're going to hear him speak on my Instagram and TikTok. He's so eloquent. He so has his words and his mind together. Put him in a suit and throw him in a gym and he's like the world's best motivational speaker. But he has struggled because the last time he got a birthday gift, he was 10 years old. And the time before that, he was 5. And his father kicked him to the curb when he was 10 and never saw him again. And the streets raised that kid. And like he talks about how he always thought Chicago was, in fact, Chirac. And how people don't have to live like this. There are other parts of the city where it's a completely different world.
Right.
And, he's in Bronzeville and he talked in my video. I don't think that clip will use that, but he talks about how much he loves the community and how much he loves the people of Chicago and how much we're going to have multiple videos with this guy because he was like just a truth bomb all the way across. And But he captured exactly like what the sentiments are there and how it took him having to get put back together by surgeons and almost dying in a pool of blood and mud for him to finally come to his senses, right? And so these kids are growing up on their own and without parents who are there making sure that they're where they're supposed to be, we're going to continue to see this problem. And if parents don't parent their children, then the government has to come in and do the enforcement side of it. And no one wants to arrest kids. No one wants to see children get caught up in gunfire. But at the end of the day, there has to be some semblance of accountability. If it's not coming from the parents, it has to come from the government, whose responsibility is to keep everybody else safe.
Yeah. So this is it's not pushback. It's just sort of an added to
Sure, please.
Without disclosing too much, I live in that same neighborhood.
Uh-huh. In Bronzeville specifically, or Hyde Park?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Bronzeville.
and it's a beautiful
But
neighborhood.
let me finish. That hasn't happened to me. That hasn't been my experience. And when we talk about neighborhoods and what happens in communities, that isn't something that not everybody in that community, the Bronzeville,
has experienced.
Is their story. Mm-hmm. So the challenge that the country has, and this is not you or anybody else that's running for mayor in Chicago or any place else, that's a problem that the country has. Is that who we talk to get our storylines about something that's going on in the community is inherently going to be biased to a storyline.
Right.
Because if you talk to me about feeling safe in the city of Chicago, would you, if you were to ask me this question, I'll ask it, but I'll put it back to you. What 3 neighborhoods would you say I don't feel safe in? Richard Chu.
Yeah, what neighborhoods do you not feel safe in?
What do you think they are? What do you think they are?
I don't know. That's why I'm interested.
But there are. And they're not the neighborhood that I live in. I feel very safe in my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But you know where I don't feel safe?
Tell me.
After 9 o'clock. I don't feel safe in Lincoln Park.
Okay.
I don't feel safe in Mount Greenwood. And I don't feel safe in Bridgeview.
Yeah.
So
no, not Bridgeview. Bridgeport?
Bridgeport, thank you.
Yeah.
After 9 o'clock. And I've had experiences in each of those neighborhoods that made me feel unsafe.
Totally, I get it.
So that's why I say that sometimes all of our narrative around safety and feeling safe versus numerical numbers in any community in the country, we have to be more willing to look at all parts of the conversation.
Yeah.
It's too easy to find a story and then zero in on that story as the story that's going to define
the representative of everything, right? Totally right.
Because I could say, I mean, the Mount Greenwood doesn't want more cops in Mount Greenwood to solve a problem where I feel unsafe. Mm-hmm. But I've been in Mount Greenwood after 9 o'clock visiting a client.
And you feel unsafe.
And I felt unsafe.
Yeah.
So that's why I say that we all have to be mindful of the fact that one story isn't the total depiction of what's going on in a particular community, whether it be downtown Chicago, Lincoln Park, the north side of the city, west, or whatever. And that's why I hope for everybody that's running for mayor right now, whoever's going to throw their hat in, that they recognize that it is not solely a neighborhood issue, because who you talk to can define that conversation.
Sure. No, 100%. I mean, and, for even extra clarity, when I spoke to DeAndre, who's the gentleman who got all shot up and stabbed, and it's like a miracle he's alive.
That's just crazy.
So he was talking about how much he loves Bronzeville. And the block that this happened on, Richard, it's a gorgeous block. I mean, like, you'd never expect to see 4 kids get shot on this block, but it's because of what happened with the congregation of so many people, and there's 1 or 2 bad ones that pull out a gun and start shooting. This stuff happens, but you wouldn't expect to see that, certainly not on this block, because it was really a beautiful redeveloped area. Nice. And this kid was talking about how he doesn't feel unsafe there, but he did where he was born, right? Which is a totally different neighborhood. And he's like, go there and you'll see different stuff. And I'm sure there'll be some really great blocks there too.
Right.
Every neighborhood has its issue. There's 77 of them. There'll be a 78th soon. And I promise you there'll be an issue there too. But the point is, like, I think no matter where you go, safety is all relative, right? But people always bring it up as an issue. It doesn't matter if it's ranked number 1, ranked number 2, or ranked number 3, but I haven't met anybody yet where it's not ranked in one of those. And safety is different for you versus what it might be for me or what it might be for DeAndre or Tyree, But at the end of the day, I think you need to have the number one obligation of any mayor is to really make sure that people feel safe. Not just that we go by statistics that we can cherry pick to make us say, look, the numbers are down, but like, do you feel safe?
But to that end, I could tell you that I've been in neighborhoods that would be depicted as ones that have problems.
And you don't feel safe.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm hearing
And
for sure.
so-
Loud and clear. I gotcha.
But I could go to a different neighborhood in the city of Chicago.
Feel totally
and
safe.
Feel totally safe. But the numbers validate that based on occurrences. But if I go to a different neighborhood, the 3 that I mentioned, and I've had personal experience. So that's why I'm saying the conversation has to be expanded to, yeah, it's safety, but it's also what is it about the area that makes it that way? So
yeah. What do you think it is? I'm curious.
in terms of why the safety?
Yeah.
Well, that's a multi-layered one as well. But I think a lot of it's economics. I think a lot of it's historical bias.
Mm-hmm.
And bias is a big part of it, more than people want to talk about. But in this city and many others in the country, bias is a big part of it. I did not feel unsafe because I thought that, well, let me put it in the other way because that's not what you're asking. I know we're about to go over. But I think that my lack of feeling safe, to your point, was due to the climate in that community about me.
Yeah.
And you can't fix that with policing.
Did people make you feel that way, though, or did you carry that with you when you went in?
People made me feel that way.
Okay, yeah. So it's happened to you before where you're
It's
like,
happened
man,
it's happened all my
all
life.
the time, right?
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Susana Mendoza is running for mayor of the city of Chicago, and she has been out there, guys, in different neighborhoods. You got to check out what she's doing on social media. She's posting some great information that you all should see. And I'm just thrilled that you had some time to hang out with us this morning.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it. And let's do it again.
We will.
It's always a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
And I'm an open book. Ask me whatever. We got you. Let's go.
She's got her soccer shoes on. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Go World Cup.
Go World Cup.
Mexico's playing today.
And she's going to be watching. All right, let's quick break, guys. 773-763-9278 is the number. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM. For Warren County, North Carolina, and our good friends at AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We'll be right back.
This is a WCPT moment in labor. In the summer of 1881, 2 decades after the Civil War, 20 African-American laundresses met at a local church in Atlanta to form the Washing Society, a trade organization which looked to create a higher uniform wage and greater work autonomy for laundresses, also known as washerwomen. Through the help of local preachers and door-to-door canvassing, the Washing Society grew from 20 members to 3,000 in only a few weeks. The workers went on strike and faced opposition from their employers as well as the local politicians. The Atlanta City Council proposed a licensing fee for their organizing efforts. Strikers agreed to the fee in exchange for self-regulation. In the end, the City Council rejected the proposed fees and the laundresses prevailed. The impact of the strike led to increased wages for some, but showed that African-American workers, including women, were vital to the New South economy. This has been a WCPT moment in labor. We're working for your rights.
That's the sound of the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program, saving you money and energy. With rebates on Energy Star appliances, so you can come back to a home full of savings. Discover more ways to save at ComEd.com/home savings. ComEd, powering lives.
There's danger out there. It lurks on highways and quiet neighborhood streets. It's more likely to kill you than a shark and more terrifying than the biggest snake. Distracted driving claims lives every day. Every notification, swipe, social post, video, or selfie while driving risks your life. So while you might think public speaking or the zombie apocalypse is scary, what's really terrifying and even deadly is distracted driving. Eyes forward. Don't drive distracted. Brought to you by NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Chicago's Progressive Talk WCPT Willow Springs is powered by ComEd. Find rebates and discounts on energy-efficient products at ComEd.com/home savings.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the mid-80s. Breezy southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 30. And for tonight, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, a low near 59. Friday, we'll see some sunshine, high of 79 degrees. Saturday, plenty of blue skies and sun, a high around 85. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 68.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT 820, where facts matter.
may be waking up, but we're still engaged. It's Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. Thanks to Susana Mendoza for hanging out with us this morning. She has been legendary in her work in the state of Illinois as our comptroller, and really done some great work there and running for the mayor of our great city of Chicago. But we have another mayor that we're going to be talking with for a little bit. And not just the mayor. He's got like a handful of things that he's doing, Henry. He's the national president of Democratic Municipal Officials and member of the DNC and author of the new book, It's All Local, Glendale Mayor of Glendale, Wisconsin, not Glendale, California. Just to be clear, everybody. I'm sure he probably gets mixed up from time to time with us this morning. And I'm so thrilled that he's decided to hang out with us this morning. Bryan Kennedy, welcome to Choose Views.
Thanks for having me. Good morning.
I'm sure going to California every now and again, if you're talking to someone and says, who are you? What do you do? I'm the mayor of Glendale. No, you're not, because of Glendale, California. That's just my silliness, Mayor Kennedy. How are you doing? You doing well?
I'm doing great. And there's actually 37 Glendales in the United States.
See,
California happens to be the biggest, but there's one in Arizona, there's one in Colorado. They're all over. You have a Glendale Heights in Illinois. They're
right.
all over the country.
I've been to the one in California. I've been to Glendale in south of Phoenix, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah. My goodness, you have got this great new book out, and I was saying earlier in the show today, one of our executives, Daniel Squadron, has written a book about the same topic, or in the space of local is so important, with the state's project that he's championing. And I know you're familiar with that. When I started the show 2.5 years ago, one of the things that I said is, I know we're going to talk about national politics because that's where we are. We were in the year of a national election, and also so much is going on that we can't get away from it. But the other thing that I said, Mayor Kennedy, is that we've got to start connecting the dots to the importance of reclaiming some of the territory, quote, that we lost when it comes to local politics, local affairs, getting our team back engaged in local stuff. Talk to us about why that is so important to you, but important to our greater narrative about sort of reclaiming some of our sanity in the country right now.
We have given up the messaging of the party. We have a party that was built, you look at the history, it was built in, union shop floors. It was built in church basements, right? Yep. It was bus boycotts. It was, union drives. It was community centers. That's how we built the Democratic Party. And we have given up the entire messaging and branding and organizing of the party to DC-based consultants who have turned every single election cycle into a marketing campaign. Mm-hmm. Stop trying to sell me shoes or a car or pharmaceutical drugs. Start talking to me about what's happening in my neighborhood. Like
about the local pharmacy right down the street that's struggling because of the pressures that they have on pricing. Yes. Talk about that local pharmacy. I'm sorry, Mayor, go ahead.
No, it's funny. The only campaign the last 40 years that has truly been about organizing was Barack Obama's 2008 campaign. He created thousands of neighborhood teams across the country. And he basically said, here's some general talking points, but you talk to your neighbors the way you know how to talk to your neighbors. There was no messaging pushed out from Washington. Barack Obama was about hope. Every single other election cycle, and probably the worst of them was if you look at Bill Clinton's elections in the 90s, James Carville had such a tight control over that messaging. Yeah. But you look at Hillary's campaign in 2016, you look at Biden's campaign in 2020, all of them are about, essentially, here's the national brand, here's your talking points. And those of us who go out and do doors, I do thousands of doors every election cycle. I do doors when I'm not running for office myself.
That's when it counts.
Right? I go out and talk to my neighbors, right? And so I know what they want to hear. What they don't want to hear is some bland, sterile messaging contrived in some conference room in Northern Virginia and focus group to a handful of suburbanites in D.C. They want to know what it means in the suburbs of Milwaukee. They want to know what it means in rural Nebraska. They want to know what it means in a Latino community in South Texas. And it's not the same messaging.
Nope. And
so we got to get back to talking to our neighbors and building essentially the Democratic Party base at a local level. And then we can talk about, the candidates. Kamala Harris is a great candidate, but I didn't use any of the talking points when I did doors in my city. Yeah. I talked about why I thought she was right for Glendale, why I thought she was right for Greater Milwaukee.
And that's how it gets done. I mean, we've got a mayoral race that's kicking off now. We've had some folks that have decided that earlier in this year decided they're running, and just before you, we had our state comptroller Susana Mendoza who's running, and it's I believe that whoever ends up winning this in 2027 is going to be the person that connects the dots of what's in a neighborhood street, but also what's going on in the greater conversation in the country. Like you said about how you approach people with regards to Kamala Harris. You talked about she's a great candidate, but right here, here's what her message is going to do for you right down the street. And that, to me, it's really simple, Mayor Kennedy. I think it's really simple. It's to say everything that happens in this street has an impact on what happens in the state capitol and in Washington. And everything that happens in Washington has an impact on the state capitol and what happens on the street. And the more we make, I believe, correct me if you think I'm wrong or add something to it, the more we continue to make that message, that to me is almost more a salient conversation than just the kitchen table sort of labeling about we need to talk about kitchen table issues. Well, some people are doing okay, but they're upset that the fact that they can't get their street fixed, and they're upset with the fact that they live in a neighborhood that's a good solid neighborhood, but they have a power grid issue. Every once a month something happens with that's a local issue. That's a neighborhood issue that isn't about someone who has some economic challenges, but it's about that person's I'll use comfort for lack of better words. What are your thoughts there?
So, when Joe Biden was still in the race before he dropped out in 2024, I went around, I was doing doors on behalf of the Biden-Harris ticket, and I was talking, we brought $100 million into my city in infrastructure projects through those 4 bills that he passed. The CHIPS and Science Act, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Bill, the Build Back Better, right? The Inflation Reduction Act. We had projects ready to go. And so as each of those bills got passed, rules were produced, and then there was an application process, and we were ready to go. Upgrades on the water utility to handle PFAS contamination. We had roads ready to be done. We rebuilt the bridge. And we had so many things ready to go. And so what I was able to say to folks was, forget these stupid talking points. I was like, this is what was done in your community because of this president and because of Democratic majorities in Congress. And I made it like real and local. And then when Kamala Harris was running, I said, she was a part of all of that, right? This is no longer Joe Biden. She was part of the Biden-Harris administration. This is what she's already done for our community. And she's been here twice. A number of you have been out to see her. She's been to our community twice to essentially talk about these projects. And so I was able to just tie it into why it's important in our community. And the talking points from DC never do that. It has to be those of us on the ground who can talk to our neighbors, and basically the talking points be damned. We have to do local messaging.
You know what, Mayor Kennedy, I ask the question on the show every day. I have a question of the day. Sometimes it's highly political, sometimes it's in the middle of the road of that, and sometimes it's a basic question. And who's your favorite musical group or song that impacted you the most? Today's question was about in addition to voting. I said, do you think voting is enough? If not, what else do you think we should be doing to make sure we keep our democracy growing and getting stronger? And a lot of the responses that I've gotten this morning have been, voting's not enough. And each of the folks that have messaged me have said something along the lines of getting ready certain things like Citizens United and stuff like that. But it also seems to keep coming back to we've got to be connected to each other on a day-to-day, kind of on-the-ground basis. We've got to be fighting that way a little bit better than we have in the past. What are your thoughts on that?
Voting is one way of expressing an opinion, but we have a lot of opinions and we have things that we want to make happen. And you have to have communication with your elected officials. You have to show up. They have to know more than just you voted for them at the ballot box. They have to know while they're in office what you want them to do for you. And part of what I get at in this book is we need to be having regular community conversations. We need to be empowering neighbors to go and talk to their city council person, to go in to their congressperson's office and tell the staff, if the congressperson's not there, what they want to see happen. Earlier this week, we had a common council meeting. We have a number of Airbnb properties along the Milwaukee River that have basically been turned into event venues. They become party houses on the weekend. People rent them to have, a bachelorette party or to have their graduation party for their kid or something like that. they're in middle of residential neighborhoods that are not that are just not conducive to having 100 people parking along the streets and loud music and parties.
Right.
So we were going to put some restrictions on short-term rentals this week. The room was packed with people. And they reached out to us ahead of time. They told us these were all neighbors from those neighborhoods. And so when we passed that ordinance, we knew that the community was there to support us. Yes, there were some short-term rental owners who were also upset that we were going to put some, tie their hands on some things. But the people came out to tell us, we live here, we own homes here, we rent homes here. We are your constituents. We vote. Those property owners, they live in Northern Illinois and they drove up here for this meeting, or they live in Minnesota and that's why they're on the Zoom, right? They're not your neighbors. We are. Yeah. And so that's important. We have to show up. We have to tell our elected officials what we want. And I know sometimes these meetings seem mundane and boring, and frankly, they are, right? A lot of it is just wonky policy stuff, or approving a payment for a sidewalk reconstruction or something. But showing up and making sure that your elected officials know that you're there, that you're watching them, and that, if they're doing something wrong, you're going to tell them. If they're doing something right, tell them. Let them know that they're doing the right thing on something.
I think that's as important right now, and we have an opportunity there to remind our folks, ourselves, what we're doing well right now, because we've been so susceptible to quote unquote being politically and messaging wise beaten down that we're not worth a damn and all these other things. And I know you hear this a lot, but we also should remind our and it's this is not meant to be quote unquote the kumbaya statement around it, but we do have to, I believe, let our elected officials know, good job there. That's good work there. And I'm going to tie it back to something you said a moment ago about the local importance of the messaging around, just for example, what the Biden administration got done. They didn't add a boy or add a girl enough that where people knew, oh, that happened because of that bill. And so part of that, though, I think is one of the things that we have to do that you just said is let them know when they did a good job. Let them know when they got that knocked out. And because that's then about momentum. We can use sports analogies all day long, but that's about the momentum of succeeding in the goal that they're going after, and the promise that they said they were going to, I'm running on this, I got this done. They should know that we got it done. So.
And as a mayor, frankly, I like it when people tell me I'm doing a good job. You passed this new ordinance, or you showed up to do this, or you helped this neighborhood with something. Like, I want to be told that that I'm doing the right thing, because otherwise I just
it's good feedback the other way too.
The right thing.
Yeah, it's good.
Exactly.
It's like, okay, you got that done. All right, great. So we listened, we got that done. Let's do more of that. So yeah, without a doubt. Yep. Mayor Kennedy, we got to take a quick break. Hang out with us for a little bit longer. The number is 773-763-9278. Send us a text. You're listening to Choose Views on WCPT AM 820 in Chicago and WARR 1520 AM and 103.5 FM from Warren County, North Carolina, and our good folks just a little bit north of us, AM 950, the progressive voice of Minnesota. I'm Richard Chu. We're talking with Glendale, Wisconsin Mayor Bryan Kennedy. We'll be right back.
Homeowners, is your upper floor too hot in the summer? Are energy bills climbing with every degree? Green Attic can help. With over 15 years of experience and more than 1,000 five-star reviews, Green Attic is a trusted name in Chicagoland for insulation, ventilation, and roofing solutions that make homes more comfortable and energy efficient. They specialize in attic insulation, spray foam, crawl space encapsulation, mold remediation, and solar attic fan installation, all designed to keep your home cooler and improve indoor air quality during the warmer months. Green Attic also offers full-service roofing through Green Attic Roofing, from roof repairs and replacements to flat roofs, commercial roofing, and solar panel installation. The right insulation and ventilation can lower energy use, reduce strain on your HVAC system, and help maintain more consistent temperatures throughout your home. Green Attic backs its work with the industry's only 10-year labor warranty. Schedule your free insulation consultation at greenattic.com or get an instant roofing estimate at greenatticroofing.com. Green Attic, healthy home, happy family.
Small businesses are the heart of America. Like you, these entrepreneurs started out with a dream and the drive to build a better life. If you have a small business idea to grow or challenge to face, you don't have to go it alone. Since 1964, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses. Today, they are the nation's largest nonprofit source of expert mentoring, resources, and education. Whether you're starting out building back, or have worked at it for years. SCORE will match you with specialized mentors. Our thousands of volunteers provide the guidance and connections you need for free. Your success is waiting. SCORE is ready to help. Find a mentor today at SCORE.org.
Because facts matter. You are listening to WCPT 820.
Debunking the lies your uncle saw on Facebook. It's Choose Views with Richard Chew.
Hey guys, welcome back to the show. If you are just tuning in, I'm Richard Chew. This is Choose Views, and we're talking with Glendale, Wisconsin Mayor Bryan Kennedy. Mayor Kennedy, help us understand a little bit more about why unions are so important. You've been very impactful voice in and around unions for a long time. Will unions be I guess you could say a partner for the Democratic Party as we go forward and sort of reclaim some of this territory that you and I both talked about that we've lost?
I think they have to be. I mean, the Democratic Party was built in union shops and union halls, as well as, in church basements and other community centers, right? That's where we built the infrastructure of the modern Democratic Party. I'm a fourth generation union member. I don't vote for Republicans because Republicans don't ever indicate any support for working class people. They're the billionaire class. They're the Chamber of Commerce class. They're not representing everyday people. I'm a former state teachers union president. And I think that we have to have a strong relationship with labor. One of the things I did in my city was after Scott Walker, our governor at the time, took away collective bargaining rights for public employees, and then went after private sector workers, we passed a responsible bidder ordinance that essentially created criteria. If you're going to bid on a city project, you have to have a Department of Labor apprenticeship program. You have to have a certified safety program. There are a whole bunch of things that we put in place that essentially said, if you're not union, you probably can't bid. And so we have top quality work being done. And that's the other thing, right? If you're going for union labor, you're getting real craftsmen. You're getting skilled workers in doing the project. So it's going to last longer. And so, yeah, I think that we definitely need to keep that relationship. One, because as local elected officials, I want good quality work. I'm willing to pay a little more for it. And, in those strong unions, that's also money then that gets spent back in my community by those workers who live here.
Yeah. Without a doubt. So in that space, there's two other areas that I've been quote unquote preaching about for a long time. And I want to get your take on this. And it has to do with, where we spend money as a nation, certainly on a federal level, on a state and local level. I'm such a big advocate of the more we spend money on education and better healthcare systems. That's the most powerful line of defense that we as a nation can have. Talk a little to us about that and where you stand in that space.
So I'm in agreement on those two. I think there's actually a big three.
Okay.
And the other one is infrastructure.
Yes. Thank you.
Our roads, our bridges, our mass transit systems, our telecommunications infrastructure, our utility infrastructure, water and lighting and power. Those are all things that are so vital. Like when one of those things goes out, like we had a major storm yesterday, part of my city lost power.
We had same here. Yeah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. But I'm saying so that infrastructure is so incredibly important. And then obviously, we make sure that people are taken care of through healthcare by making sure that everyone's covered. And then education is how you build a strong society of future leaders, right? They're educated, they're critical thinkers, they know how to ask good questions. So I absolutely agree with you. But as a local elected official, I did serve on my school board for a decade before I moved over to City Hall. So I do see the importance of the education, but the infrastructure component, it's one of the things that government has to pay for.
Yeah.
And they want to see something real with their money. So a new school or new textbooks, a bunch of good teachers, that's real, that's tangible. A new road build, a bridge rebuilt, those are all things that are tangible and real.
Yeah, and every time we hear pushback, and this isn't it interesting, but we know this to be true. I love what you said earlier about how you vote. Every time we talk about improving infrastructure in the country on a national level, the pushback comes from Republicans. It comes from, and on a national level and certainly in state legislatures, it typically comes from Republicans. But let's be honest.
The pushback for anything that actually represents everyday people comes from Republicans every single time.
Who is this guy, Bryan Kennedy, mayor of Glendale, Wisconsin? Okay, see, this is as much as you're doing something that I admire, and that is we have to be critical of our own team. And I use this sports analogy a lot, and people probably get tired of it. If we're going to make our team better, we got to be critical of it in a way that moves us forward. Just not to be critical, just to be critical, but how are we going to make ourselves better? By observing what we're not doing well and try to find ways to fix it. That's critique, constructive, and we get better at it. But the people that are causing the harm to our society are not the Democratic Party. Yes, we got people that are taking AIPAC money. We got people that are taking big. All that's true. But I'll give the example that I'm sure you're probably looking at. I was critical of certain things that happened in Maine with Graham Plattner and all that. But ultimately, Susan Collins is the Republican that's causing true harm to the state. And particularly when it comes to women's issue, and this that came out about Plattner is in that space of a woman's issue. But Susan Collins is voting currently as a senator to actually harm people. So we have to be willing to be critical of our team so that we get better. But at the same time, we have to be just hardcore about it's the Republicans. And I love how you said that on everything that we're trying to move forward for that betters the country. They're the ones that are causing the drama. Wow.
Yeah. I'm a member of the DNC, and I'm the president actually of the largest constituency within the DNC. There are tens of thousands of Democrats who serve as municipal officials across the country. Mayors, city council members, water commission members, school board members, library board members, elected positions all across the country. I am critical of what we're not doing right as a party, but we have the values.
Bingo.
Right. And we don't talk enough about those. But those values are different from community to community. You can't just come up with a values statement out of DC and think that it translates everywhere. Right. And so, I look at someone like a Graham Plattner. Is he perfect? No. But we have to stop assuming that these people who are human beings have to be perfect if they're going to represent our party. Because the other side basically has put a 34-time convicted felon and a convicted rapist in the White House. Right. And so, is Graham Plattner perfect? No, he's not. He's got some questionable stuff in his past. But what has he told people? He goes, I'm a human being. I made some mistakes. I'm not the same person I was before. You know what? I'm not the same person I was in my 20s. I'm in my 50s now. We all grow as people. We have to stop assuming that our people need to be angels when the other side's electing devils.
Yeah, that's Oh, wow. Hashtag Mayor Kennedy. Wow, man. Okay, we got to clip that out and send it to you. We will send that to you. That's that. There it is. Wow. All right. We didn't talk a lot about your book, but we'll have you back on so we can talk about it. But I'll ask you this one quick question. How can folks get a copy of it? And we'll wrap up with how people can find you.
Sure. So I do have a website, Bryan Kennedy Author, BRYAN Kennedy Author, all one word.com. And that's where you can pick up copies of the book. There's a bunch of different places you can order it from. You can find me through that website. You can contact me. I'm also on every single one of the socials. You can find me everywhere. I am at Glendale Bryan. And that's everything from TikTok to Instagram to Facebook. You just at Glendale Bryan, you'll find me. Bryan with a Y.
That's fantastic. It's been great chatting with you today. I really hope that you'll consider being back on the show. We're neighbors, and I want to do everything I can with my show to promote the local officials who are doing the work like you've described and doing it in a way that is so important to the community, immediate community, but the broader community as well. So thank you, Mayor Kennedy, for hanging out with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Be safe. Have a great weekend. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks. You too.
Bye-bye. Wow. He was great. Seriously, we got to clip that out and make sure we get it to Mayor Kennedy because he said it better than most in that space. So I hope that we can get that to him. Guys, it's been great hanging with you as always. I'm glad you guys were able to plug in and listen today. Please make sure to go to our website and check out what we're doing over at heartlandsignal.com because that's where all the good stuff is. The great articles, the great pieces, the great clips. And thanks to Susana Mendoza for spending time with us this morning and to Chris Welch, the Illinois House of Representatives speaker for our great state of Illinois. Stay tuned for the Stephanie Miller Show. And as always, take a deep breath and make your life count. We'll see you tomorrow.
count of how many foster homes I lived in. 20, maybe more. Each time, a new room, a new bed, a new routine with a new family. But never a space that really felt like mine. Eventually, I didn't even bother unpacking, because moving again was never an if. It was always a when.
There are more than 100,000 children in foster care waiting to be adopted. The Dave Thomas Foundation for Adoption is working to help find them a forever family and a permanent home of their own.
When I was 15, I didn't have anywhere to go for the holidays. So my high school principal invited me to stay with his family. It was just supposed to be for a few weeks, but soon they asked me to stay forever as their daughter. Now I have my own room and decorated it myself. It's kind of a tornado, but it's my tornado. And just like my family, it's mine to keep.
If you have room in your home or your heart, see how you can help at davethomasfoundation.org.
Volunteering is an opportunity to make a huge difference.
I'm a part of the solution.
Do you want to make a difference? If you volunteer, you can. Making a difference for you, your community, and your country. Join America's Volunteers. This message brought to you by the National Association of Broadcasters and this station.
Amazon Business. With smart business buying, innovative AI tools optimize your purchasing experience, paired with delivery options built for business. Learn more at amazonbusiness.com.
AP News, I'm Marcela Sanchez. President Trump says the U.S. would hit Iran, quote, very hard tonight. In the same post on Truth Social, the president also threatened that the U.S. would assume total control of Iran's oil and gas industries, including the key Karg Island, in the, quote, not too distant future. The post comes after the U.S. and Iran traded strikes for a second day. It was the third time this week that back-and-forth strikes have rattled the Middle East. U.S. applications for jobless aid rose modestly last week, but remain at a historically low level. The Labor Department says the number of Americans filing for unemployment aid for the week ending June 6th rose by 4,000 to 229,000. That's the most since early February, before the U.S. and Israel launched attacks on Iran, but it's still considered a healthy level. In other news, the AP's Lisa Dwyer reports Republicans are getting an edge up in Florida.
The Florida Supreme Court has allowed the use of a new U.S. House map drawn by Republicans in the midterm elections. The court declined a request to issue a temporary injunction against the map. Attorneys representing voters argued that the new districts violate a state constitutional ban on political gerrymandering. Republicans currently hold 20 of the state's 28 U.S. House seats. The new voting districts could improve the GOP chances to win 4 additional seats in November. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
Elon Musk's rocket company SpaceX will make its debut on Wall Street tomorrow. Musk could soon become the world's first trillionaire. U.S. financial markets are set to open with strong gains today, following another sell-off of artificial intelligence stocks that dragged the sector sharply lower. This is AP News.
AP Sports, I'm Gethin Coolbaugh. The New York Knicks made NBA history by overcoming a 29-point deficit to beat the San Antonio Spurs 107-106 in Game 4 of the NBA Finals for the largest comeback win in Finals history. OG Anunoby's go-ahead tip-in of a Jalen Brunson missed three with 1.2 seconds left secured the win and a 3-1 series lead for New York.
We're all excited. We're enjoying it right now, but we're just focused on the next game now.
NFL, the Kansas City Chiefs and quarterback Patrick Mahomes agreed to a restructured contract that adds 2 years and pushes the total compensation past $500 million. MLB, the Pirates overcame a late 6-1 deficit opposite a pitching Shohei Ohtani and the Dodgers in a 9-8 victory. And Mexico hosts South Africa Thursday afternoon to kick off the World Cup. Gethin Coolbaugh, AP Sports.
This is 820 AM, WCPT Willow Springs, and streaming worldwide at WCPT820.com. We are Chicago's progressive talk, where facts matter. Now, your WCPT 820 weather update.
From the Weatherology Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Jennifer Wojcicki. We'll see a few scattered showers and thunderstorms possible late today. Otherwise, partial sunshine develops, a high in the mid-80s. Breezy southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles per hour, gusting as high as 30. And for tonight, a chance for showers and thunderstorms, cloudy, a low near 59. Friday, we'll see some sunshine, high of 79 degrees. Saturday, plenty of blue skies and sun, a high around 85. That's your latest Chicago weather update.
Currently, it's 70.
Chicago's Progressive Talk, WCPT Willow Springs, is powered by ComEd. Visit ComEd.com/facility assessment to learn more about energy savings.
Hi, friends. This is Jason Bissell from the Center for Acupuncture in Wilmette and Chicago Community Acupuncture.
Chico Maku.
We have fun with these ads, but what I'd like to talk about today is no fun. Cancer. After watching my mother battle and eventually lose her fight to cancer when she was 40 and I was 9, I decided to go into medicine. Acupuncture is very effective at helping people go through cancer treatments with less side effects and better outcomes. My father needed 8 weeks of radiation for his throat. His doctors told him that after 2 weeks he would lose his voice, after 4 weeks he'd be on soft food, and after 6 weeks he'd need a liquid diet. Well, he got acupuncture twice a week, he never needed soft food, never went on a liquid diet, he just got a little hoarse. This improved his quality of life and his mood. For everyone fighting cancer out there, I can help. Go to ChiComAcu.com or CenterForAcu.com in Wilmette, ChicoMacu.com or CenterForAcu.com, and be well.
Small businesses are the heart of America. But you don't have to go it alone. As the nation's largest nonprofit resource of expert business mentoring, SCORE has helped millions of entrepreneurs build their businesses for free. Get the connections, education, and guidance you need with SCORE. We're ready to help. Find a mentor today at score.org.
Ever tried balancing a dozen eggs in one hand while hopping on one foot? Or maybe juggling cats while riding a unicycle? Sounds ridiculous, right? But guess what? That's exactly what texting while driving is like. Your human brain only has the capacity to focus on one thing at a time. So when you're behind the wheel, give driving your undivided attention.
Don't drive distracted. A message brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, Project Yellow Light, and the Ad Council.
This is WCPT 820.